Hey guys, before I get started on today's stories, I wanted to ask for a huge favor. This channel is 7 months old and so far the growth hasn't been too bad, thanks to you guys, but I'd like a bit of help from you. If you enjoy what I offer, please share it with your friends and family to spread some of the creepy vibes. For those of you who are new to this channel, please subscribe, share and hit that notification button. It will really help my small channel to be recognized by the tough YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much. Without further ado, let's get started. This happened over 20 years ago when I was in 5th grade. Just to let you know, no one's going to die in this story, nor will any exorcism or Buddhist priest take part in it. It's a pretty long story to tell, and there isn't a clear conclusion to it either, so I haven't really told many people, but seeing as I have the opportunity to write it down and share it with you, here goes nothing. A small fishing town on the western coast of Japan is where I used to live. The road would stretch along the coast with mountains on the other side, and the houses and other buildings were built on the slopes of the mountain. With nothing blocking the sun rose very early, but the town got dark fast as it sunk behind the mountains. The elementary school only had about 100 students back then. Now there are less than 20, and they're going to shut it down soon. There were only 20 students in the 5th grade, and we were obviously all in the same class. We were all friends from the time we were babies. Seems my intro got a bit long. I'm writing this as I drink and reminisce, so forgive me if you get impatient. So, when we were in 5th grade, there was an activity where we all slept in school for one night. It was to prepare us for the graduation trip that all 6th graders take before going into middle school. Of course, all of us were really excited about the sleepover. Back then, we still had school on Saturday mornings. After class, we all went home to pack and went back to school at 3 p.m. According to the schedule, we were to cook dinner all together, play some games, go to sleep, and go home at noon on Sunday. We had a weird combination of curry and yakisoba, or fried noodles, for dinner, and played dodgeball with 2 balls, which made the game extra fun. Oh, it was so much fun. When it got dark, it was time to do kimodameshi. There is no formal translation for the word kimodameshi, but it literally translates to test of courage. It's a very popular pastime for people of all ages, especially in the summer. It entails walking through a scary place for the sole purpose of, you guessed it, getting scared. This was actually part of the schedule. We were put into pairs and we were supposed to walk around the school building once. After that was the fireworks, and then lights out. It was only a walk around the school, but let me explain something. This school was old. At this time, it was already 70 years old, and the entire building was made of wood. As I described just before, the school was built in a way that the sun would only hit it in the morning, and the other side facing the mountain, where there was a garden, was dark and damp even during the day. Honestly, it was pretty creepy. There was also a kind of monument there. I really don't know when it was built, but there were multiple handprints on it. I once heard it was a time capsule, but I can't speak to the validity of it. Last but not least, I don't know who gifted the school with it, but there's a stone statue that looks like it's running. Very akin to the illustration on emergency exit signs, situated in this dark, gloomy garden. It was already so old and beginning to weather that you couldn't tell whether it was a male or a female. All of these things combined didn't make any of the students want to step foot in the place, even in daylight. And how can I forget? There was a rumor that the school grounds was built on top of an old cemetery, so all in all, it was pretty much the perfect place to have a kimodameshi. Considering I was a 5th grader, the idea didn't excite me as much as the fireworks that was to follow. The girls, on the other hand, seemed all hyped up, screaming and being all loud. It was then that I thought of something. I called my two friends, Naoto and Shigeru, over and said to them, "Hey, let's play a prank on everyone and say we saw a ghost." The main reason I wanted to do this was because there was a girl called Yoko in the class who apparently could see ghosts. She was known to gather the girls and play around with Ouija boards and black magic. She was truly quite annoying. This was the plan. Naoto and the girl he was paired up with was to go first, and he would sort of talk to her about a ghost. Next, I would go with Yoko and tell her that I see a ghost and describe what it looks like to her. Finally, Shigeru would go with his partner, and when coming back, he would start screaming that he saw a ghost and run back. Everyone will see the escalation and freak out, and if at this point Yoko says that she saw the same thing, we would all know that she's a big fat liar and reveal that it was all a joke. I figured this was quite a brilliant plan, and to make sure there weren't too many holes in the story, we started discussing about what this fake ghost should look like. At first, we thought up of a girl with a short bob haircut and a red skirt, but figured she would look too much like the famous cartoon character Chibimaruko-chan or the urban legend of the ghost who lives in the school toilet, Hanako-san. It would be too easy for others to figure it out. The next idea was a girl in a navy blue dress and 2 braids. Again, it resembled a character by the name of Lucita from Castle in the Sky, one of Hayao Miyazaki's movies. But it was better than our previous idea, so we stuck to this image but changed the color of the dress from navy to black. After settling on this, we didn't want others to see us huddled and discussing something, so to avoid raising any suspicion, we went as far away from each other as possible. Thinking back now, this in itself might have raised some eyebrows because the 3 of us were always together. Anyway, it was Naoto's turn to go. 5 minutes later, he came back as if nothing happened. It made me wonder whether he initiated the chain of events. When I asked him about it, apparently the actual walk was a lot scarier than he had anticipated, and he couldn't even think about bringing up the fake ghost story. What a coward. Next was Yoko and my turn. We started walking, and I kept thinking all the while, "Be prepared, Yoko. I'm going to prove to everyone that you're a fake." We approached the garden space in the back of the school. It was really creepy. Yoko, whom I would have expected to be brave in a place like this, was silent and looked super scared. We walked through the garden, and just as the swings came into view at the front of the school, I said to her, "Hey, there's someone on that swing." I turned back to her and said, "Who is that? I don't remember seeing anyone like that tonight." Facing forward again, I said, "She's not there anymore." What was that? I was silently applauding myself for my amazing acting skills. I've never even had a main role in the school plays to date. Slowly, I turned to Yoko again to see her reaction. Her small, slanted eyes seemed to vibrate when all of a sudden, she screamed at the top of her lungs and started running. Truth be told, she almost gave me a heart attack. Wait! I called out, but she was running at top speed towards the others. I wondered whether I overdid it, but I was secretly looking forward to seeing the outcome of it all. Was she going to say she saw the fake ghost? I felt a bit scared to be all by myself, so I also ran back. When I got there, Yoko was crying and causing a scene. Our teacher was trying to calm her down, and when he saw me, he asked what happened. I said excitedly, "I saw a girl in a black dress and braids sitting on the swing, but she disappeared in the few seconds that I looked away." "Did you see her too, Yoko?" the teacher asked. She nodded her head up and down as she continued to cry. That's when Naoto piped in and said, "I saw her too." All the kids started talking at once, and I felt a quick surge of panic, but just as I was about to tell everyone that it was a joke, the principal appeared. What horrible timing. Now, The principal really wasn't a bad guy, but he was a bit of an airhead, for a lack of a better way to describe him. And sometimes, the things he thought he was doing for the good of everybody backfired. And it happened quite often. Let me give you an example. When I was in 3rd grade, our principal called all the students in and announced, it has come to my attention that there are a few students who are calling Toshiko Fukuda, a 6th grader, a red mole. It is unforgivable to make fun of others by giving such nicknames, and it needs to stop now. After all the students heard her nickname, Toshiko Fukuda rose to unwanted stardom, and even students in lower grades started to call her the red mole. So, when the principal made his way in, he again tried to make things right and said to our teacher, "Seeing everybody is so scared and in a panic, there is absolutely no way we can continue with tonight's sleepover. I'm cancelling it, and you need to contact all the parents to come pick the students up." And just like that, our night had ended. It was the last thing we were expecting to happen, and it was a serious move to go this far. Naoto, Shigeru, and I tried to hide our nervousness, and we agreed to keep our prank a secret to avoid getting in trouble. That night, we went home with our heads hanging low. When I got back, my parents started asking me all sorts of questions. I couldn't confess that the night was cancelled because of me, so all I did was repeat what the teacher said. I have a feeling my parents knew I had something to do with it, but they saw how bad I felt, so they didn't really press the issue. The following Monday, the school was buzzing with what happened that night. It wasn't surprising. If anyone heard that the sleepover was cancelled because some students saw a ghost, it was bound to be the topic of conversation for days to come, especially in a tiny school like this. The 3 of us weren't as excited about it at all. We couldn't tell the truth, but we couldn't feed the fire either. All of this happened before Shigeru got to walk his round, so he looked at Naoto and I as if we were the only ones at fault, which pissed me off. Everyone was expecting us to act like we were heroes of the story, talking ourselves up, etc., being that we actually saw this fake ghost, but we were anything but. Our silence made this fake story even more believable in everyone's eyes. No one could let it go for the remainder of the week. Yoko was playing it up big time. She apparently went to the temple to get blessed, brought in a mound of salt, and put on a cross necklace even though everyone knew she was a Buddhist. It was ingratiating and super irritating. The Monday after that, the principal held another school assembly. He said, "I know all of you have heard about the ghost sighting the previous weekend, but let me assure all of you that there's nothing to be scared of. This school was built over an old cemetery, so these kinds of stories are easy to manifest. However, as soon as he said those words, you could see everyone's shocked and excited reactions. Prior to his speech, it was just a rumor, but now the principal had spoken the truth. It was the moment that everyone found out that the school was indeed built over what used to be a cemetery. Hearing it come out of his mouth felt different to hearing it from old graduates and from some of our parents. He had done it again. Because of his lack of thinking and preparedness, his original intention of squashing the ghost sighting had completely backfired. Now the students were even more convinced that this ghost actually exists, and everyone's imagination started running wild. They started talking to each other, and it was chaos. After this, we started to hear rumors about students seeing this ghost around the school. A 2nd grader saw it. My older brother, who's in 6th grade, saw it. We would hear of a different sighting every day, and I got more and more fed up whenever it reached my ears. I came so close to telling them, "Please stop. It was all a joke that we made up. It's not true." The fact was that all these sightings were just plain impossible. At one point, I started to label those that claimed they saw the ghost a filthy liar. After school, Naoto, Shigeru, and I would always meet up in a locker room before baseball practice, and we'd say how we wished everyone would hurry up and forget about this fake ghost. Wasn't there anything else they could talk about? Naoto said with a grim smile. Actually, yesterday my little brother said he saw the ghost when he went to the toilet during class. On his way back to the classroom, he turned around and he saw the ghost go into the girls' bathroom. He was really freaked out, so I said ghosts don't need to go to the toilet, so he was probably mistaken. Well, that pissed my brother off big time, and out of frustration, I almost told him that it was all a joke that we thought up, but I didn't. I said straight away, "You better never tell a single soul." Naoto continued, "But hey, the ghost with the black dress and pigtails, she doesn't really exist, right?" "What? Of course not. You were there when we thought her up." "Yeah, I know that. I know, but it's just really strange that everyone is seeing this ghost that we imagined up out of thin air. There's nothing weird about it. Everyone's just spreading rumors based on the ghost that we described. That's all there is to it." "I guess so. It's just that it's so creepy to hear everyone talking about how they saw it around school." Naoto wasn't wrong. It was definitely a bit unnerving, but I had to be logical. This was a small school, and the image that we had conjured up probably stuck in everybody's minds clearly, like a game of telephone. The message was loud and clear in everyone's brain. This is what we all agreed to believe, and we didn't speak any more about it that day. The next day, Shigeru wasn't himself. Because he didn't play an actual part in the spread of this rumor, he was always sitting there enjoying the show, but not that day. During recess, I asked him what was wrong, but he didn't answer me. His demeanor didn't seem to change the entire day. Before we knew it, school was over and we were back in the locker room sitting on one of the benches before practice. As usual, we were talking about dumb things as fifth-grade boys sometimes do. After a while, I grabbed a bat and was just holding it, and Naoto put on a baseball mitt and started throwing the ball against a wall and catching it as it bounced back. Shigeru still sat there with a mopey look on his face. What happened?" Naoto asked him as he was doing backhand catches. Well, yesterday," Shigeru started to speak while staring down at his hands. "Yesterday, there was a volleyball practice for the PTA mums. My mum's in it, so I tagged along. I was playing with them at first, but I got bored and, most of the other kids were much younger, No, I don't know. So?" Naoto said, continuing to throw and catch the ball against the wall. "So, I got a bit bored and decided to go explore the school at night. I just headed towards the classroom and didn't bother turning the lights on because I didn't want to get in trouble." "Yeah, I would have done the same." "So, you know how the science room is at the end of the hall when you walk out of the gymnasium? I saw someone walking into the room. I just figured some of the other kids were exploring just like me, so I went to go check it out. I got there and I tried to open the door, but it was locked. I mean, of course it was locked, right? It was well after hours. But then, how did that person get in just before? And when I thought some more about it, I didn't even hear the door open and close. As soon as I realized that, I freaked out, what with the ghost rumor going around and all." Shigeru's voice shook a bit as he recounted what happened. Naoto was still throwing and catching the ball. I suddenly felt the temperature in the room drop and said in a louder voice than normal, "How many times do I have to say it? The whole thing is a joke." I know, but it still freaked me out, so I ran back to the gym. When I got to the entrance, I turned back to see and I saw the door to the science room open and I saw a girl in a black dress walk out. A chill ran down my spine. I got angry and was about to give Shigeru a piece of my mind, but he cut me off. I know it was all a joke. I was there when we came up with it. But I saw it. I saw the ghost that we described. What else can I say? What the hell is it?" He looked like he was about to cry. I couldn't stand the air in the room anymore and shouted back at him. What do you mean, what the hell is it? How am I supposed to know? What's wrong with you getting freaked out over a fake ghost that we made up? It doesn't even exist. I threw the bat that I was holding, and the clanging noise that it made as it dropped onto the floor was louder than anticipated and echoed in the locker room. I don't know when he stopped, but Naoto wasn't throwing the ball anymore. I looked down and the ball was by my feet. I looked up at Naoto, who was looking at Shigeru. Actually, no, not Shigeru. He was looking at the wall behind him towards the back of the room. His eyes were as wide as can be, and his lips were trembling like hell. Did you know? Your back really does get freezing cold. The hairs raising on your arms and neck, getting goosebumps, all these things really accurately describes what happens. I could feel my hair standing on end from the back of my neck, down my back and arms. I could feel the goosebumps spreading across my entire body. What was Naoto looking at? I didn't want to know, nor did I want to see, but I couldn't help but turn around. I did so, slowly, almost as if being controlled by something else, and looked at the wall towards the back of the room. Shigeru did the same. It was there, in the dark corner against a wall that was covered in numerous awards. It was standing there looking exactly like what we had described. Shigeru screamed at the top of his lungs as soon as he saw it and ran out of the locker room. Naoto snapped out of it and scrambled after him. And me? I couldn't move a muscle. My ass was stuck on the bench. Not only could I not stand, I couldn't look away or close my eyes either. It was her. She was wearing a black dress and had pigtails. It was unmistakably her. I said shakily, "What? Why are you here?" I couldn't move a muscle, but my voice still worked. "What the hell are you trying to do? This was all a joke. You're not real. We imagined you up. Go away, go away, go away." In the end, I was crying and screaming at the ghost. I can't remember what she looked like this entire time, but I do remember her looking extremely sad as she faded from view. I felt lightheaded, probably because of crying and yelling at the same time. I could barely get my legs to work, but I made my way out of the room and I saw Naoto and Shigeru standing there, crying. It makes me laugh as I write this because they were almost hugging each other and holding hands, their eyes swollen from all the crying. I probably looked just as pathetic to them, my face a mess from the tears I cried. They looked at me worried, and I told them that she was gone. I strangely felt that it was over and everything was going to be okay. We realized that baseball practice was about to start when the fourth graders came running down and proceeded to go into the locker room. The other team members slowly started showing up to get ready for practice too. The three of us felt a bit dazed as if we had just woken up from a bad dream, but the fog eventually lifted. After this day, the ghost sightings died down like a shriveled up balloon, and before we knew it, we were all sixth graders. Yoko remained a self-proclaimed psychic. The principal retired that spring, and one of the last things he said in his farewell speech was, "My last year here as the principal was a tough one because of you guys." I really couldn't read him for the life of me. So, that's the end to my story. As I said in the very beginning, it ended up being quite long. Anyway, thanks for reading until the end. I've actually been experiencing this for the past year, but I just realized something strange. I usually don't dream when I sleep, or maybe I do, but I don't remember them. Sometimes I do remember them, and the ones that I do are crystal clear, and I've never forgotten a single one. The dreams I remember have a common theme. I'm always in it along with a few people that I actually know in real life, and the rest are people that I've never met before. And all these dreams end in the same location, a temple that I've never been to nor seen before. There's a Buddha statue there, and when you walk around it, there's a path that leads out. Once you've gone out, there's a long flight of stairs, maybe 30 meters in height, and when you reach the bottom of the stairs, there's a small area full of pebbles, like the ones you might see in some photos around temples. In my dream, everyone begins talking as soon as we're all in this pebbled space, myself included. Here's the weird part. Everything the strangers say all come true after I wake up. Like I said, I only realized this recently. Some of the dreams that have come true are the following. The death of one of my parents, passing my high school entrance exam, the thing that happened one time during sports day, an accident I got into which required me to get 9 stitches, a girl asking me out, etc. The death of my parent was the first thing that came true, so I wish I'd realized these things earlier. Anyway, I had another dream just now, and I'm so scared. I dreamt that I was going to die. The stranger in my dream said that I was going to get hit by a train. But the weird thing is that I ride my bike to school and I don't even need to cross the train tracks. I rarely ever use the train either, so I just can't figure out how something like that could even occur. So far though, everything the strangers have said have come true, so I can't help but feel scared. Really scared. I don't know what to do.